Hello and welcome to the new poem Wetenskap Mannetjies. It is freezing in the KwaZulu-Natal Midlands. It's late at night and I'm suffering, but this poem has really warmed my soul. It really does. Every time I re-look at it, it's one of the, wow, Antjie Krog, she wrote it in 1970, I think, or before. That's when she published it. She was still at school. Okay, so enormously talented. I mean, who would be our best female poet? Elizabeth Eybers, Antjie Krog. You know, this is a beautiful one. Okay, so before we start, just please help me to just promote my little things, my little books. If you don't have these books, you can get them on Takealot. If you're struggling with Afrikaans, or you know of anyone who struggles with Afrikaans as a subject, look, it's not easy, but you can make it simple. These books really will do that. If you can just share the link of the Takealot shop on your WhatsApp groups or on your status, or just the link of this video, or both, that would really help me just to keep making stuff that can help you get through Afrikaans successfully. I'd really appreciate that. And then good things will happen to you as well. That's how life works. Cool. Wetenskap Mannetjies. Oh, I'm already spotting a spelling mistake. All right. So let's, I've made the Afrikaans here and then the English translation here, and then some notes. There's actually surprisingly a lot of things that you can take out of 21 lines in a poem. Okay, but that is Antjie Krog for you. It's compact, it's dense, and it's rich with metaphors and personification and just beautiful imagery. Probably my favorite metaphor of all poems is in this poem. Okay, and once you kind of get that picture in your head, every time, you'll know what I mean. I'll explain it later, but every time you see this thing in nature, you're going to think about this poem. I promise you. Okay, so it says, Julle sit onder swart teleskope, you sit under black telescopes en kyk na die son, and you look at the sun. Tot julle besef dat julle nooit daar sal kom, until you realize that you will never reach it. You will never reach the sun. Patheties bepaal julle dan die ligjare. Pathetically, you calculate the light years en vertel dat die son, as te ware, and declare that the sun, in fact, inkrimp en eendag gaan verdwyn. That in fact the sun is shrinking and one day it will disappear. Ons sit maar hoog op die windpomp. We just sit high on the windmill en kyk hoe die son sy kop stamp, and we watch how the sun bumps its head. Teen die rand, hoe hy bloei, hoe die vaal lig gloei, hoe die bome tot silhouette verskroei. Here's that. Man, that is like, that's poetry. That's proper poetry. So if you read the translation, and we sit on the windmill and we watch how the sun bumps its head against the ridge, how it bleeds, how the pale sky glows, how the trees scorch into silhouettes. Daarom, liewe menere, teken ek klawertjies. That's why, dear sirs, dear gentlemen, I draw little clovers in my book, in my homework book, or in my workbook. Tussen my huiswerk en between my homework, kry ek 26%, want ek luister eerder na die verdwaalde Koran. I'd rather prefer listening to the lost bastard bird tussen die bossies by die tennisbaan, among the bushes near the tennis court. Ek kwadreer liewer my vreugdes. I'd rather square my joys en vind dan die logaritme van my hartseer. And then I find the, I'm not sure how to say this word, logarithm of my sorrow. Want syfers bring eensaamheid, because numbers bring loneliness. Wat geen mens kan keer, that no one can stop. Numbers bring a loneliness that no person can ever stop. Alright, so let's look at these notes, and then if we spot more things as we go, we'll just type another note. Often, you know, every time you go through a poem, you see something else, and that's great. That's the wonder of poetry. So I'm just going to gooi the English that side and gooi the notes this side. Okay, so die titel, Wetenskap mannetjies. You immediately see that this is in the diminutive form. It's a verkleinwoord. Why? Well, in Afrikaans, we sometimes use diminutive forms to look down or speak down to people, to refer to them in a derogatory way, mocking them. Okay, little men, little boys. Okay, so they're basically saying that these important scientists are like little men, little insignificant little boys with their stupid little toys and their stupid little lab coats and their silly little things that they look for and their pathetic little equipment and things that they work with and their stupid little labs. Nobody cares. Okay, nobody understands what the hell you are doing. So that's the title. So it's already, so I just used 3 words that basically mean the same thing. Neerhalend, derogatory, verkleinerend, making them look small, verachtend, making them look pathetic. Okay, so I said they're pathetic little men. And there's no a or d in front of wetenskap mannetjies. It's not a wetenskap mannetjie or die wetenskap mannetjies. It's not specific to any scientist or teacher. It's universal. It's saying the science as and scientists, wetenskaplikes in general. Okay, all of them. It's universal. Die spreker het 'n lae opinie. I'll just try and make it in simple language. A low opinion, a low regard for scientists. Probably sitting in a classroom and looking at physics and science and going, I don't know, or in mathematics even, and not understanding what this teacher is talking about. Okay, so I think it's we have to understand who the narrator is. Okay, so you can't say it's the poet. You can't say dit is Antjie Krog. No, you can't say it. But you can infer or guess that it's someone like her or in a similar situation at that time, and she was a school girl. Okay, skooldogter wat glad nie van wetenskap as 'n skoolvak hou nie. So you can just say that she's a school girl that doesn't like science or maths as a school subject. And we don't normally hit the theme right away. We get that at the end. But I think in this poem it's important to know the theme before. I said the theme, geniet die beeldskoonheid van die natuur sonder dat die koue wetenskap dit vir jou bederf. Enjoy the beauty of nature without allowing cold scientific facts to spoil it for you. And she presents 2 perspectives on nature. The scientific perspective, the cold, lonely scientific perspective, versus the Jan Alleman, the everyday standard view. Jan Alleman is the standard human, every Tom, Dick and Harry. How we see nature, we just see it at face value. We see the beauty of it as we see it. We don't think in terms of formulas and shapes and fancy scientific language. Okay. So let's start with the poem then. So julle, who's the julle? So these are the wetenskaplikes wat die heelal bestudeer. So these are the scientists that study the universe. Okay. And they represent, so they could ask you wat verteenwoordig die julle or die wetenskap mannetjies. They represent logic and reason. Okay. So I'm just thinking now into intuition, intuition versus logic. Logica. That's a good way of seeing it, perhaps. The intuition of how you feel about nature, and then the logic. So die swart teleskope, they look at the sun, which you can't do. As far as I understand, you can't take a telescope and look at the sun. You'll burn your eyes out of your skull. Okay, you'll go blind in a minute. Unless you are viewing it through certain filters, or I'm being naive and stupid, yeah. But scientists are always trying to achieve the impossible, isn't it? So it's like mocking their attempt at the impossible. Okay. But let's not overread this thing now. Okay, so swart telescope is, I just said swart is a pejorative or very negative color. They also use interesting that they use the meervoud here, teleskope. She could have said, julle sit onder 'n swart telescope, you sit under a black telescope. But she uses the plural. Again, that speaks to the universal nature of this poem. Dui op die universele wetenskaplike. It refers to the universal scientist, and also to the loneliness of their work. There's this one guy sitting under a telescope, not talking to anybody else, trying to study the sun. Okay. I just said, ja, kyk na die son, onmoontlik vir die gewone mens. It's impossible for the normal human being to look at the sun. And she resents them for it. She envies them for it. Bonnet is to envy. She's like, you guys, you're so lucky you get to see the sun. You know, that kind of thing. And she uses the word patheties, and it's vooroplasing. So that's patheties shouldn't come first in the sentence. That's not stompy. Okay, they put the word patheties in front of the sentence. Why? It emphasizes how stupid they are. Simple is stupid. Simple is not simple as in easy. Simple is silly. It emphasizes how silly they are to the narrator. And she said, pathetically, you determine light years. I mean, what is a light year even? How far is a light year? It's impossible to understand for a normal human being. How far does light travel in 1 year? I mean, who knows? And honestly, who cares? There's no reference. We don't know. If you say 2 kilometers, we understand that. 100 kilometers, okay, cool. 100 kilometers, you know, it's going to take me just over an hour on the highway, that sort of thing. You know, if it's 400 kilometers, it's like almost a 5-hour trip, maybe 4.5, 5 hours trip. We can understand that. But what the hell is a light year? Okay, that's typical of science. They speak in terms of, they're like, my mind, I don't know, I don't understand. I can't comprehend this. Okay. After line 3, there's a full stop. just go back to that. It emphasizes the fact that they will never get, it says that julle sal nooit daar kom, you'll never get there. Just emphasizes that fact that no scientist is ever going to get close to the sun. Okay, nobody. Hulle sal nooit naby aan die son kan kom of dit ten volle verstaan nie. So I'm going to move this down a bit. Okay. Son gaan verdwyn. So they say one day the sun is going to shrink. Okay, much like they do when they don't do any exercise and they're always sitting down in the lab, they shrink. Okay, but that's just a side note, not important. En eendag gaan verdwyn. So they say the sun's going to disappear in, I don't know, 300,000 years, 3 million years. The sun is going to disappear. I mean, so what? Who cares? It's irrelevant to us. We're going to be around hopefully for the next while, okay, next few decades, and then we are out of here anyway. So whether the sun survives or not, I mean, like, is that relevant to us in any way? I don't really see it. As long as it survives while my kids are still alive, I don't really care, okay? It's nie van toepassing nie. It's not applicable to us. It's mocking. And do we really know, is the sun actually going to disappear? I mean, there are contradictory theories, which we'll get into. Scientists are always arguing. What was scientific 10 years ago is not scientific today. Some things will be, yes, but science is constantly evolving and changing. So, I mean, you can think of many examples. Okay. Ons sit hoog op die windpomp. Okay, I left out a note here. I'm just thinking about the windpomp. You know, they're climbing up onto the windpomp. So that's a symbol of their perspective, isn't it? Van hulle, who are the hulle? Who are the ons? Oh, flip, that is important. Hang on. Who are the ons? Who are these people sitting on climbing up the what is a windpomp in Afrikaans now? A what did we say? A windmill. Sorry, I almost said a wind pump. That sounds ons. So the ons it's the narrator and her friends. Okay, spreker en haar vriende. Okay, that's definitely that. Windpomp, symbool van hulle perspektief of hulle beperkte. I mean, a windmill is not super high. That's as broad as their perspective is going to get. They don't have telescopes. They don't have fancy equipment. So it's a symbool van hulle beperkte perspektief. Ooh, very good. Okay. But the windmill itself is quite meaningful. I mean, what better symbol than there is than a windmill, than the harmony between nature and humans? That's very relevant. The windmill is van toepassing op die gewone mens. It's applicable to the normal, everyday human being. I mean, the wind moves the blades of the thing. It creates energy and it pumps water to the surface and it lets the animals drink. I mean, what a beautiful symbol of harmony between nature and humans, unlike the relationship that scientists have with nature, according to the narrator. Okay. And then we get this absolutely stunning metaphor. They sit there at the top of the windmill and they watch the sun bump its head against the cliffs there, bleed out over the horizon. You know, when the sun hits the horizon and it just goes boom, red, and the colors and the just break and refract. I think it's refract the word. They break, the colors split up, and it's only the red that reflects back because of the angle and because of the dust particles, I believe. Not to become too scientific, you see. We don't want to do that. We just want to say, oh wow, the sun's bumped his head on the horizon, it's bleeding out. So every time now I see a sunset that's red and beautiful burnt orange, I think of this exact metaphor. Can't help. Okay. So at one level, it's obviously personifikasie van die son. Okay, so it's personification of the sun. The sun can't literally bump its head. A person can bump its head, or an animal. And what does it do? What is the function here of that personification? Well, it maak die natuur toeganklik vir die gewone mens. It makes nature accessible and understandable and relatable to the average person. It's a very human mistake to bump your head. We've all done it. Maak menslike fout om jou kop te stamp. Dis die verpersoonliking van die wetenskaplike elemente. So she takes these highly scientific, I mean the science behind the red and stuff that you see, and the sun moving and the earth moving in certain ways and formulas and things. That's cool. But we'd rather see the human side of it. The sun bumped its head, bleeding out over the horizon, making it verpersoonliking, making it human-like. Okay, making scientific elements or concepts human-like. Cool. There's S alliteration, die son sy kop stamp. Now, I can't but, okay, I'm guessing this, right, die bloekombome. I can't but, you know, on those Free State farms, the trees that grow tall there are blue gums, right? They not indigenous to South Africa, but or even wattle trees. So blue gums and wattles, those are the two that you kind of see in that sort of setting. So perhaps the S alliteration refers to the wind just rustling is a better word, rustling through the late afternoon as the sun is setting. Yeah. Okay, so bluey is an interesting word. It's bleeding out. I don't think we must read too much into the bluey. She might feel like she's bleeding to death slowly in the science class. Okay, but it's just an image. Okay, 'n beeld van die sonstrale wat al sy kleure versprei. It's this image of the sunbeams splitting into all its colors. The red is obviously dominant, the red and burnt orange. Omdat die atmosfeer die stof en die rooi lig weerkaats. It reflects the red light, nothing else there. Okay, verskroei is a beautiful word. How did we translate that now again? Scorch. Scorch is also a beautiful English word, scorch. Dit lyk of die horizon en die bome brand. It looks like I don't know if you've seen it, like wobbles over the flickers, moves over the trees. I've only seen it a few times. Die rooi is dominant omdat die, okay, sorry, hang on. Okay, so what's the punt after the scree? So there's only 2 full stops in the whole poem, right? There and there. Okay, what's the function there? So it just indicates that the day is ended. Okay, die son het finaal gesak. And perhaps on another level, die spreker gaan nie haar opinie oor wetenskap verander. The narrator is not going to change her opinion about science. Full stop. Damn, that's how I see it. It's beautiful to me. Thank you very much. Daarom, that's why. So now she explains her perspective. Die spreker verduidelik haar perspektief. Liewe meneere, sarcastic, eh? I didn't say that. This is a sarcastic tone. So she doesn't want to call them sirs or gentlemen. Okay, there's call them dudes. Okay, sarcastische toon And it's also between two commas. Look at that. So it slows down the tempo. So we've just had all this enjambment flowing down to indicate the setting, the smooth setting of the sun in this beautiful metaphor. And now we get this, what's the English word now? The staccato sort of choppiness in this line, brought on by these commas. Why? Okay, she wants to like pause and make a point. Vertraag die tempo. She's now serious and sarcastic. Oh, I did say sarcastic there. Okay. Sy wil haar punt maak. She wants to make her point. She's like, listen, sirs, comma, I'm now going to tell you why you are being silly. Okay, so that's what she's talking. So she says, I'd rather draw little clovers, okay, which could be a symbol of happiness or luck, and just being a child, okay, being young. It's also an easy thing to draw, isn't it? Clover. Okay, she sticks to things that are basic and easy. She says, I'd rather watch the verdwaalde koran. And you get this, a koran is one of those, I meant to put in a picture, it's just like a grey bird that runs around on the grass. Okay, it's a very common sort of bland, ugly bird, to be honest. It's very grey and brown and it's not really pretty. However, that says she sees everything in nature. She sees she finds beauty in all aspects of nature, isn't it? Okay. Verdwaalde koran, so you get this idea that she's looking out the window during her science lesson, and then she's looking at she can see the tennis courts, and then there's this busted bird, gewone grys voël. Yes, I need 2 dots on the E. It's a normal bird. Sy sien die mooi in alle dele van die natuur. She sees the beauty in all aspects of nature. If you look finely, you'll see it. She uses the word bossies. Now, that's interesting. Bossies are weeds, right? So, I mean, we all used it. If we don't know what a plant is, we just say, I don't know, it's weeds, you know. Like it's like 300 different species of plants. I mean, we all just classify them as weeds. I mean, that is so colloquial. That's so, like, it's a bit, I'm the same. I don't know plants, so I could not tell you the difference between different weeds. It's the gewone taal. It's the plain language for plants that are not welcome. And shame, I feel for weeds. They're willing to grow there, and then we pull them out and say, you're a weed. We label these plants, and some of them have pretty flowers. I've often said, oh, well, look at those pretty flowers. My mom's like, no, those are weeds. Pull them out. Like, who labeled them as a weed? You know, it's almost like she's intentionally being unscientific by saying bossies. The better word would have been onkruid, but she didn't use that word, and that's with intention. Okay, this is Auntie Krog. This is not just not any person with a pen and a piece of paper. This is proper. Okay, so it's opsetlik onwetenskap. It's making fun of science, basically. This whole poem makes fun of science, isn't it? Okay, then she said the tennis barn. Okay, interesting that the bird's walking next to the tennis court. Is that meaningful? Nah, I don't know. Probably not. Okay, but if they ask it, you know, tennis is a game that's going to and fro. So maybe it's the symbol of scientists that are always arguing, and they do. They always have, and it's a good thing. Okay, we don't want false science. Okay, that's the nature of science. It's always updating itself, always improving itself. Every year, new theories develop about nature. So she's saying, you know, if you look at the science textbook of 1970, like none of it's relevant anymore. Okay, especially in the field of medicine. And yeah, it's really bad. Okay. She uses these big words then. Okay, so after using very colloquial, common words like bossies, she goes and she uses words like quadreer and logaritme. Why? Contrast, eh? She's showing, listen, I'm not stupid. Okay, I'm not saying I'm anti-science because I'm dumb. I'm not dumb. Okay, that's not my reasoning here. Spreker wys sy is nie dom nie en verstaan die groot terme van wiskunde en wetenskap. She shows that she's not stupid and she understands the big terminology of maths and science. This is her perspective. 'n Mens hoef nie komplekse terme te gebruik om vreugde uit die natuur te vind nie. You don't have to use big, complex, fancy language to find joy in nature. That's the message here. Hope that makes sense. It's a good poem, eh? Flip, there's a lot to unpack. If I'm missing things, hey, you must just add in. Okay. I said there's a geen mens. She says that no person can understand. En ek vind dan die logaritme van my hartseer. You see, now we have to take a note on this. Sorry, hartseer. Science can't help you really with heartache. Just quickly, wetenskap kan jou nie help met hartseer nie. But I'll tell you what can help you with heartache is meeting up with a group of friends on a farm, climbing up onto a windmill and watching the sunset. Okay, that will help your loneliness. That'll help your sadness. Okay, not some dude in a lab coat speaking in language that you cannot even understand. Okay, so you get the drift here. Hey, geen mens. So she's saying that no person can understand. Wat geen mens kan keer. Sorry. She doesn't mean literally any person. She means any authentic person that connects with himself. Die mens wat eg is aan homself. Okay. So yeah, there is this contrast, the loneliness that numbers bring versus the warmth of the sun. There's no rhyme, there's no pattern, there's no there's internal rhyme in that and a bit of enjambment and rhythm. Yeah, that's fine, but there's no structure here. Why? The whole idea there is die natuur kan nie in formules en syfers ingedwing word nie. Nature can't be forced into formulas and numbers, and neither can our emotions be forced into things that are that you are able to calculate. Okay. In die moment die gedig vloei soos die spreker se vreugde. Also this in die moment in this beautiful metaphor, that flowing just indicates the setting of the sun. Son wat sak. Cool. That's kind of what I got out of this, and this took longer than I thought it would. Wow. I hope that makes sense. Please share this. That'll help me enormously and just give me the motivation and the energy to sit late at night when it's cold and do more of this kind of thing. I really appreciate it. I'm going to have a cup of tea and I think I'm just going to get into under a warm duvet. It is flippin' freezing here. please stay warm, please stay safe, make good decisions, and then we'll chat again in the next video.